The pain of parents unappreciated by their children. Have you ever looked at your child, your own flesh and blood, and wondered, why don't you see all that I've done for you? You sacrificed your youth, stayed up sleepless nights when your child was sick, worried every time they came home late, and even now, though your child is grown, your heart still puts them before yourself. Yet today, your child may rarely call, seldom visit, or even speak to you with impatience, as if you were a burden, not the one who once held their world together. This pain doesn't stem from a single moment, but from a gradual realization. The love you once gave is no longer returned the way you had hoped. You don't expect grand gestures, no gifts or flowery words. Sometimes you just long for a phone call, a thank you, a look of understanding. You just want your child to realize you are human too, with feelings, memories, your own needs, not just mom or dad. That silence, often more painful than any argument, slowly becomes a quiet wound. It stirs up a whirlwind of emotions: sadness, resentment, guilt, sometimes even shame. The true pain doesn't just come from your child's actions, but from the inner storm you must face. You begin to question, did I do something wrong, or was my love not enough? But the truth is, you deserve peace. Not because your child changes their attitude, but because you remember your own worth, whether they see it or not. After all you've given, now is the time to give to yourself. Understanding, compassion, and above all, freedom from unmet expectations. That is not selfish. That is the journey back to yourself, a father, a mother who has loved with all their heart. Not longing for grand things, just to be seen. After many years of living for your children, you realize you've forgotten who you are. Once, small dreams like taking a dance class, finishing a book, or simply getting a full night's sleep were all set aside. Everything went to your child, from money and time to health and emotions. You accepted that, because being a parent means sacrifice. But at some point, you suddenly feel empty. As your child grows up and gradually drifts away, you ask yourself, what's left of me? The answer isn't easy. Sometimes it's a tired body, a soul easily hurt, and a heart that hasn't had time to heal. But within that emptiness lies an opportunity to return to yourself, because you are not just someone's mom or someone's dad. You are a person with the right to live, to feel joy, to be loved, and to care for yourself. This journey begins with the smallest things. Maybe it's a morning spent sipping tea in silence. It's when you learn to say no to what drains you. It's when you allow yourself to cry, not out of weakness, but because you've been strong for too long. And then, little by little, you begin to remember what you once liked, once wished for, who you once were before becoming a parent. No one said this journey would be easy. You might feel guilty when you start thinking about yourself. But remember, taking care of yourself is not a betrayal of your children. On the contrary, it's how your children get to see a more whole version of you. Not only someone who sacrifices, but someone who knows how to embrace life and live meaningfully. Because when you know how to value yourself, you also teach your child to value themselves. And one day, you'll smile as you look back, realizing that though it came late, you've returned to yourself, not just to a role. The pain begins from within. Sometimes the pain we feel from our children doesn't just come from their words or actions, but from the emotions stirred deep inside us. Anger, sadness, disappointment, guilt, even shame at thinking we weren't good enough as parents. When our children express blame or behave with indifference or coldness, we are easily hurt. But if we look deeper, we may see that these are old wounds, perhaps dating back to our own childhood, to unmet expectations, to feelings of abandonment, or to the belief that we must sacrifice unconditionally to be worthy of being parents. When our children behave improperly, it can make us angry, but that anger often masks deeper emotions. Sadness from not being understood, loneliness within our own family, or the sense of failure from not maintaining the loving connection we once hoped for. Healing is not about forgetting or ignoring mistakes, but about having the courage to look within, to face our true emotions, in order to understand, to empathize, and then to forgive. Forgiveness not only for our children, but for ourselves, for what we couldn't do, for the limits we tried so hard to surpass. Only then can the journey of parenthood become more complete and compassionate. Lesson 1. Letting go of expectations. As parents, we all want our children to live well, succeed, and be happy. But deeper than that, we often hold very specific expectations that our children will follow a certain academic path, have a stable job, behave properly, be grateful and filial. We pour our hearts, time, and even sacrifice our youth to nurture those ideals. However, life doesn't unfold according to our expectations. Our children grow up with their own personalities, their own choices, sometimes completely different from what we imagined. When they take a different path, reject what we believe is good, or show resistance, we feel let down, hurt, as if our love and efforts have been dismissed. That feeling causes many parents deep pain, even a sense of invisibility in their children's eyes. But if we pause and ask ourselves, does true love require conditions? Does loving someone mean they must live the way we design for them? Healing begins with letting go. Letting go is not indifference. It's freeing ourselves from the pressure to control our child's journey. Letting go is learning to accept our child's true self, even when that self worries or confuses us. It means shifting from expectation to presence, to listen, to observe, to walk alongside, not to shape, but to understand. When we love our children without conditions, that love becomes clearer and more enduring. Every person needs the freedom to grow. And when surrounded by unconditional love, a child finds the space to return, not out of duty, but out of true connection. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up hope for our children's happiness. It means releasing our need to control and replacing it with a more mature love, a love that allows both parent and child to be themselves and to grow together in respect and compassion. Lesson 2. Releasing the emotional debt. A parent's love for their child is meant to be sacred and unconditional. Yet in reality, many parents unconsciously place an emotional debt on their child's shoulders. This is the expectation that the child will be grateful, will live in a way that justifies the parent's sacrifices, and will repay them through obedience, success, or care in their old age. When love is tied to the expectation of return, it ceases to be a voluntary offering and becomes a form of obligation. Children, instead of feeling wholly loved, may instead feel burdened, guilty, or compelled to distance themselves. Though unspoken, messages like, "We've done everything for you, you must live rightly," or "We just want you to succeed so our efforts weren't wasted," can turn love into a weight rather than a source of support. The key to deep connection is unconditional love. When parents can release the expectation of being repaid, love returns to its purest form, giving without demanding. This doesn't weaken love. In fact, it strengthens it, creating a safer, freer space for the child to come back, to express gratitude naturally and sincerely, not out of duty. Letting go of the emotional debt doesn't mean denying your sacrifices or abandoning the parent-child relationship. It means allowing that bond to be built on respect and voluntary love. When affection no longer resembles a debt, we can meet each other again as whole, free, and close human beings, not out of obligation, but out of genuine connection. Lesson 3. Establishing healthy boundaries. Love, no matter how deep, still needs boundaries. Many parents, out of love for their children, are willing to sacrifice everything: time, health, money, even their own emotions and personal space. They believe that love means giving unconditionally. But when giving has no end, no clear limits, it can easily lead to exhaustion, disappointment, and emotional pain. Without boundaries, children may unconsciously take their parents' sacrifices for granted. Over time, love becomes service, and connection turns into dependency or lack of respect. Parents can end up feeling undervalued or used, while children miss the opportunity to learn independence, gratitude, and responsibility. Boundaries are not about distance or rejection. On the contrary, boundaries are the expression of love with understanding and respect. When parents know how to say no when needed, when they protect their own time and space, they are teaching their children how to listen and respect others. Most importantly, they are maintaining their own inner balance, a crucial element in sustaining a healthy, lasting relationship. A healthy relationship is not one without conflict, but one where both sides understand their own and each other's limits. With clear boundaries, love is not overshadowed by over-sacrifice or unspoken expectations. Instead, the bond between parent and child is nourished by respect and freedom. a solid foundation for genuine connection. Lesson 4. Recognizing your own worth. One of the quiet pains many parents face is the feeling of not being acknowledged or appreciated by their children. After years of sacrifice, nurturing, and guidance, they hope to be seen and understood, sometimes wishing for nothing more than a simple thank you or a small act of care. When that doesn't happen, feelings of disappointment and hurt can easily set in. However, recognition from children, though precious, should not be the sole measure of a parent's worth. If we rely solely on external validation, especially from our children, we risk falling into a cycle of longing and disappointment. The truth is, some children, due to age, circumstance, or personality, may not express gratitude in the way parents hope, but that doesn't make their love or a parent's devotion meaningless. The important lesson is to learn how to look inward and acknowledge your own value. The journey of parenting is never easy, but every effort, every quiet sacrifice is a testament to immense and enduring love. Kindness, patience, and compassion, all of these are qualities worthy of recognition by the parent themselves. When parents know how to appreciate themselves, they become less dependent on their children's validation. In turn, the relationship becomes lighter and healthier, no longer burdened by unspoken expectations or hidden pain. And the miracle is this: when parents no longer need their children to validate them, their strength and wholeness often inspire gratitude and closeness. Recognizing your own worth is not pride, it is the beginning of healing. Only by fully loving ourselves can we continue to love others in a way that is sustainable and free. Lesson 5. Emotional independence. One of the common mistakes many parents make is allowing their emotions to be entirely dictated by their children. When the child is cheerful and loving, the parent feels happy. But when the child is distant, irritable, or behaves unexpectedly, the parent easily falls into sadness, hurt, or even anger. Emotions rise and fall like a roller coaster, unpredictable and exhausting. However, placing your emotional well-being in someone else's hands, even your child's, is the fastest way to lose inner peace. A child may be loving, may be indifferent, may be close one moment and distant the next. That's natural in every individual's journey of growing up. If parents can learn not to tie their emotions to their child's behavior, they will discover a more stable emotional foundation. Emotional independence does not mean being cold or indifferent. It's the ability to maintain inner calm even when things around you are chaotic. It means stepping back when your child is angry, keeping your love even when they are distant, and finding joy in your own life. A warm cup of tea, a fresh morning, or a quiet conversation with an old friend. Parents don't need to abandon their role of loving or caring for their children, but they do need to learn how to nurture their own life. With a rich and resilient inner world, parents won't be emotionally dependent on their children's mood swings, yet can still remain gentle and present in every relationship. True love is not attachment. It is the ability to be fully present, whether your child is near or far, understanding or not. Lesson 6. Practicing acceptance. As parents, we all want our children to be happy, to live rightly, and to succeed. But sometimes that love comes with unconscious expectations and control. We want our children to follow the path we believe is best, to behave in ways we think are right. And when they don't, when they choose a different career, live differently, or think differently, disappointment and pain arise. Practicing acceptance does not mean giving up or being indifferent. It is a profound inner journey in which parents learn to see their children as separate individuals, not replicas, nor products of themselves. Every child is born with their own identity and path. The role of a parent is not to control but to accompany, not to force, but to understand. Acceptance helps free both parents and children from invisible burdens. When parents let go of the desire to control, they become less stressed, have fewer expectations, and create a vast space for pure love to flow freely. It is within this space that children can grow freely, without guilt or resistance. Acceptance is a journey, not a destination. But little by little, it heals wounds, softens the heart, and opens the door to genuine connection between parent and child. Lesson 7. Choosing peace over resentment. When children act distant, ungrateful, or go against the very things their parents have spent a lifetime nurturing, feelings of resentment can easily arise. It's a very human response, a kind of shield to protect the deep hurt within. We tell ourselves we're angry because we loved too much, expected too much, gave too much. But in truth, resentment only deepens the wound inside. Resentment is like a slow-burning fire. It gradually consumes inner peace and withers relationships. It doesn't change others. It only traps us in a cycle of disappointment and suffering. Instead of clinging to this emotion as a way to prove we're right, parents can choose a different path, the path of peace. Peace is not indifference or surrender. It is a conscious choice to protect one's own spirit. It is when parents can see their children's differences without needing to argue or impose. It is when they accept that children have the right to live their own way, and that they, too, have the right to live lightly, free from the burden of blame. Letting go of resistance and forgiving, not just the child, but also oneself, is the first step toward reclaiming peace. When the heart softens, relationships have a chance to heal. And if children cannot be changed, at the very least, parents can choose to change how they feel, to live more fully, more gently, each day. Parenting has never been an easy journey, especially when sacrifices, affection, and expectations are not met with the response we hope for from our children. Yet within that hurt lies an opportunity to look deeply within ourselves and begin a healing journey of our own. When we let go of expectations, erase the emotional debt, learn to set healthy boundaries, recognize our own worth, and cultivate emotional independence, we no longer live dependent on our children's reactions. We become freer, more peaceful versions of ourselves. Accepting our children as separate individuals, releasing resentment, and choosing peace, not because they deserve it, but because we deserve to live with a light heart. Love doesn't need to come with control or expectations. True love is when we are strong enough to love without demands, compassionate enough to accept, and mature enough to let go. The parenting journey may be filled with challenges, but every step we take with mindfulness is a step that gives both ourselves and our children a chance to understand each other, to grow closer, or simply to find peace, even if we are no longer close. Thank you for listening. May you always find gentleness in your soul, no matter how difficult the path of parenting may be.